Share my story with you. My story begins with my mom. She was a very strong woman. She escaped the Vietnam War alone, and she spent a year in limbo at refugee camps before coming to America. And she was only 13 years old, so she was very, very strong. But my father left my mom when we were very small children, and so my mom raised my sister and me by herself. She worked a full-time waitressing job. She took any extra shifts they would give to her. And I found out later on that she would also go knocking from door to door to see if anyone needed their house cleaned. But she did all this for us, but she knew it wasn't enough, so she also went back to school. I still remember being a small child sitting in the back of college classrooms with her, sitting in the back of restaurants, and it was a tough life, but we loved each other, and we had everything that we needed. She rented an apartment for us, and we lived in the worst part of this town. And she knew that she had to get out of there, but the situation became desperate when someone broke into our house and attacked her, and she knew that she had to get us out of there immediately. After she recovered, a member of the church told her about Habitat for Humanity. We had never heard about Habitat before then, but she thought it was too good to be true, but she decided to give it a shot. She filled out an application. She had my sister and me double check it, proofread it, and then she sent it off. And the story goes that the council at Habitat, they were done reviewing and had selected the new homeowners for that session. But then they saw this brown envelope in this pile of white envelopes, and they thought that was a little bit odd. And it was because back then recycling wasn't as cool as it was today. It was a lot cheaper to get those brown envelopes. It was all we could afford, so it was what we bought. And they decided before they called it a day, they would open up this one last envelope, and it was our story. And our story touched them so much that they reached out to us almost immediately. And they sent a member to come interview my mom. And halfway through the interview, this man stops her and says, "Your son's name is Tom, because a couple years ago, I had a student named Tom in my classroom. It was one of my old teachers." So it was just another line of coincidence that were too perfect to be coincidences that led us to our relationship with Habitat. Back then, I was barely a teenager, and it probably wouldn't be allowed today, but back then I was working on the sites on Saturdays, and I came to meet the men and women who would become the best role models in my life. It was the most fulfilling times in my life. And the moment that my mother received the keys to our new home was one of the happiest moments of her life. It gave us a safe place to live. It gave us a financial resources that we needed and the peace of mind. It's hard to study when you're having trouble putting food on the table, and it's hard to study when there are gunshots right outside your door at night. I'm proud to say that my mom eventually went on to earn a nursing degree, and she worked in this community, and she always worked in the intensive care units, one of the most physically and emotionally demanding places in the hospital, because she felt it was her calling to bring hope to the hopeless. And I wish she could be here with us tonight, but she lost a long battle with cancer just a few years ago. And I myself come before you today as Dr. Tom Tran. I graduated from Mercer University with a degree in pharmacy, and I returned back to this community because I felt that it was only right to try to give back to this town that had given so much to me. My sister was accepted into Yale University, and she earned a neuroscience degree from there before going on to NYU and to receive her medical degree. Today, Dr. Kathy Tran couldn't be with us. She wanted to be, but she was called away at the last minute to speak at a conference. And I just want to thank you all and thank Habitat. And there's one more thing I want to say, that earlier this week, I was looking on my phone, and in my newsfeed, an article came up, and it was about altruism and about how illogical it is. Because these members, these volunteers, they come out every week, every day, and they give up their free time, they give up time with their families, their resources, their money, and they give it up for strangers, and that just makes no sense. And that spoke to me. It made me think about what else in my life doesn't make sense. And probably the biggest thing is God, because by definition, God is ineffable, and that means that He is beyond our comprehension. So I was thinking about what compels us to go out and help someone with expecting nothing in return. And I would like to think it's God guiding us to be better people. So I want to thank Habitat, because I know for a fact that without them, I wouldn't be here before you today. I want to thank its members, and I want to thank you all too, because you all are part of something great tonight. And thank you.